Political advertising in 2026 is operating inside one of the most structurally complex media environments campaigns have faced in decades. Fragmentation of attention, inflationary rate pressure in competitive markets, accelerated creative cycles, platform restrictions, and measurement ambiguity have fundamentally reshaped how serious campaigns must think about media strategy. At the executive level, the conversation is no longer digital versus television. The conversation is about integration, capital efficiency, frequency engineering, and persuasion architecture. If you want to understand how campaigns win in 2026, you have to begin with a foundational truth. Persuasion requires structured repetition. Voters do not shift perception after one exposure. Name recognition, issue alignment, emotional trust, and turnout behavior are built through sustained, layered messaging delivered across multiple touch points. The challenge is that repetition is harder to engineer today. Voters are dispersed across broadcast television, cable networks, connected TV, social platforms, terrestrial radio, podcasts, streaming audio, search engines, and private digital environments. No single channel delivers universal reach. That forces campaigns to build coordinated systems rather than isolated tactics. Broadcast television remains the persuasion anchor in competitive races. Despite audience fragmentation, broadcast continues to deliver unmatched civic legitimacy and emotional scale. Local news environments concentrate high-propensity voters and provide contextual credibility that strengthens message impact. In battleground markets, broadcast pricing escalates quickly. Executive-level strategy requires early inventory reservation and disciplined negotiation. Campaigns that wait until late-cycle windows face inflated pricing and weaker placement rotation, reducing effective frequency. Day-part concentration matters. Morning and evening news provide high attention density among reliable voters. Prime time delivers broader reach, but must be reinforced through frequency layering. Late news can offer cost-efficient reach among habitual viewers. Frequency modeling must be intentional. Research consistently demonstrates that persuasion movement requires sustained exposure. Campaigns should plan multi-week continuity rather than short bursts of spending. 6 to 12 exposures over a structured window often represent baseline recall thresholds in broadcast environments. Creative sequencing is equally important. Campaigns should introduce the candidate, define key issue pillars, establish contrast where necessary, and reinforce identity before transitioning into mobilization messaging. Disorganized creative rotation wastes broadcast scale. Clarity drives retention. In broadcast creative, voters must quickly absorb the candidate name, the office sought, and the core message. Overly complex policy exposition reduces impact. Simplicity improves recall. Cable functions as a reinforcement layer. When aligned with voter file modeling and demographic concentration, cable enhances message density within targeted clusters. However, cable must complement broadcast rather than dilute it. Strategic concentration outperforms scattershot placement. Radio remains one of the most underleveraged persuasion assets in modern campaigns. Radio provides high-frequency exposure at cost-efficient levels and benefits from habit-driven listening patterns. Commutes, workplace listening, and daily routines create repetition loops that strengthen memory retention. Radio's power lies in repetition. Effective scripts repeat the candidate's name, clearly state the office sought, and reinforce a single, disciplined issue frame. A 30-second radio spot should mention the candidate's name multiple times. Tone should be authoritative and conversational rather than theatrical. Format strategy matters. News and talk formats reach politically engaged listeners. Urban and culturally aligned formats strengthen community-specific targeting. Sports radio concentrates male listenership. Adult contemporary often reaches suburban commuters. Smart campaigns match format to voter density and persuasion goals. Streaming audio and podcast placements extend reach among digital native audiences. Post-read endorsements can provide trust signals, but scale must justify investment. These placements are reinforcement tools, not foundational persuasion drivers. Connected television extends incremental reach among cord-cutting households. CTV provides household-level targeting and premium content environments. However, frequency management and platform transparency must be evaluated carefully to prevent inefficient dispersion. Digital and social platforms accelerate creative testing cycles. Algorithmic systems reward variation and engagement. Campaigns must institutionalize creative production pipelines capable of producing multiple variants of core messages. Weekly performance reviews are critical. Underperforming assets must be retired quickly, while high-performing variants are scaled. Creative fatigue is real. Static creative in high-volume digital environments declines rapidly. Structured rotation prevents performance decay and maintains message freshness. Search advertising captures high-intent behavior. When voters actively search for a candidate, opponent, or issue, campaigns must dominate that environment. Search serves both persuasion and reputation defense. It also becomes essential during mobilization phases when voters search for logistics such as polling locations or voting deadlines. Measurement in 2026 requires realism. Perfect attribution does not exist in political campaigns. Executive teams must rely on layered validation frameworks rather than deterministic click-based conclusions. A disciplined measurement architecture includes reach and frequency modeling across major channels, engagement indicators such as video completion and click behavior, search lift analysis for candidate and issue queries, website traffic pattern shifts, sign-up and volunteer engagement indicators, and research-based recall and favorability tracking where available. Cheap impressions do not win elections. Effective frequency does. Budget allocation must reflect race type and competitiveness. Statewide races typically require heavier broadcast weighting to achieve scale. Congressional or district-level races require tighter geographic layering and more concentrated reinforcement. Local races often lean more heavily into radio for efficient frequency density. Operational discipline separates serious campaigns from reactive ones. Compliance must be integrated into the creative pipeline. Platform verification, disclaimers, and review timelines must be managed proactively. Late disapprovals during peak windows can disrupt frequency goals and undermine persuasion continuity. Crisis response planning is essential. Campaigns must maintain rapid creative production capacity and insertion flexibility. Message hierarchy should be clearly defined so leadership can pivot without losing narrative coherence during volatile news cycles. As campaigns enter final phases, frequency intensifies. Messaging shifts toward turnout mobilization. Broadcast and radio concentrate exposure in high-propensity precincts. Search becomes critical for voting logistics capture. Digital retargeting reinforces urgency messaging. At the executive level, political advertising in 2026 is defined by integration, not novelty. Broadcast builds persuasion authority. Radio amplifies repetition. Cable reinforces clusters. CTV extends incremental reach. Digital accelerates testing and segmentation. Search captures intent. The objective is not channel experimentation. The objective is structured, repeated exposure aligned with narrative clarity and operational precision. Campaigns that treat media as a coordinated persuasion system outperform those that chase platform trends. In 2026, disciplined integration wins. Systems win. This is where strategy meets execution.